Yo, what is good, yo? It's your boy Ty back here with another video. And in this video today, we are going to be going over the top spotlight sim cards in NBA 2K21 MyTEAM. Now, I've already ranked them, but that was before I was able to get in shoot around with them, dribble with them, all that type of stuff. So this is post kind of after having all of them, including every card, including the Bill Russell. What is the best squad you could make if you got the game yesterday and let's say you grinded the spotlight sims and just had spotlight sim players? What is the lineup I would go out there with? Again, I've used each and every one of these cards in shoot around, so I'll give a breakdown on each specific position in case you're wondering about a specific card. You're gonna hear about every single one of the spotlight sims in this specific video today. Now, before we dive any deeper, if you are new to my channel and have not yet, please consider smashing the subscribe button as we are on the road to 70,000 subscribers. Now, this whole morning I was super exhausted. I'm still kind of exhausted from yesterday's grind, especially when it got to those last 11 games in which some of those challenges, especially on current gen, just get so tough. So we're going to start here at the point guard position. Now, obviously a lot of people think, oh, it's a shoo-in, Damian Lillard. He will definitely be your starting point guard. But here's my thing about Damian Lillard. There's not that big of a difference between this Dame and the Opal Dame. Like, there's just not that much difference. I've never really loved Dame in 2K. I've never really loved his release. Obviously, if you're on next gen, he does have the Hall of Fame steady. But, I mean, my thing is, I've just never really loved Damian Lillard cards in 2K. So that's kind of my thing about this Dame card. I mean, yes, Dame's going to be okay on next gen. He has a decent enough release. But I think there's some other guys we should take a look at. Rafer Alston. I mean, guys, Rafer is 6'2" again. Has a decent release, but he's only 6'2". Marbury, kind of a Derrick Rose type player. Steve Francis, again, just kind of on the small side of things. Hal Greer has one of the top releases in the game. In my opinion, the easiest release out of all the point guards in NBA 2K21 right now. So if you're looking to cheese around screens, if you play a lot of Pro-Am and Park, you can have a lot of fun with Hal Greer if you want to plug him in there. Conley, I mean, again, 6'1", not going to do much with there. Jason Terry, I kind of struggle with his release, and Michael Adams is 5'10". There's not much more to say. So that's everybody at the primary point guard position. Then at the shooting guard, we got Larry Hughes. Is pretty solid all the way around on current gen. I don't really have any flaws for Larry Hughes, especially on the defensive end. Is really where he's going to be the best. Tyreek Evans, I get it. He's got Hall of Fame steady, Hall of Fame blinders on next gen, but he still has its service. So he still has a pretty good release on current gen. And then we got Jamal Crawford, obviously has the Treyberg base, 6'5", is very solid. Then we got Manu Ginobili, has that Dante XM base. Yes, the upper is a little bit weird, but as far as an all-around point guard, as far as spotlight sims are concerned, including Damian Lillard, give me Manu Ginobili over the rest of the field. Now at the shooting guard position, we're going to talk about a lot of guys here because I don't even know. You got the small forward position. At the small forward position, we have two primary small forwards to talk about. Now I might do some adjustments here as we go on, but at the shooting guard position, you got Michael Cooper, probably the most chicken man guy in 2K in general. Like, I went into shoot around and greened my first 8 shots with him, and I haven't used a Michael Cooper card in forever. To go along with that, he has a 98 lateral quickness and a 99 lateral quickness and a 98 steal. Now, the only bad thing about Michael Cooper is he's 6'5", 170 pounds. You kind of got to take that into consideration. Calbert Chaney, this dude is just an all-around player. Like, he just can do it all, especially on the defensive end. You're going to see that a lot. 6'7". I'm pretty sure this is the guy with the 7'3" wingspan. Solid all the way around. Then we got Steven Jackson. In my opinion, at the primary shooting guard position, it's going to be tough to find a better guy that you grinded for than Steven Jackson. At 6'8", he's chicken with his release. I think it's base 22 or Rudy Gay type release. Cliff Hagan, guys, only 6'4". Not a huge fan of his release. Chris Morris, 6'8", pretty tall. I kind of struggled to green with him in shoot around, but I still, am pretty high on the card. Eddie Johnson, a lot better on next gen. And then Corey Maggette has a pretty solid release, but he's only 6'6". So I'm just going to go ahead and plug in Steven Jackson here as my best shooting guard that I personally shot around with. Not the small forward position. The really only guys we could plug in here is Jimmy Butler and James Worthy. Now, if it's between these two as far as a starting shooting guard, or a starting small forward, I'd lean, if it was one or the other for a lot of money right now, I'd probably lean towards James Worthy. And really, it's only because he's bigger. Now, again, we might adjust some things if I like the power forward position and stuff like that and move Jimmy to the 2. But right now, I'm just going to plug in James Worthy and we'll just keep moving players around. At the power forward position, there's actually some pleasant surprises here at the power forward and center position. At the power forward position, First guy we're going to talk about is Dennis Rodman. This dude's a certified scrub. If you grinded for him and are playing him, if you play me with Dennis Rodman, my feet are kicked up. The dude can't play, has one of the worst releases in the game. One of the most underrated cards is Xavier McDaniel, especially if you're current gen. 6'9", can curry escape, which you're not going to find better than that. 88 3 ball, 96 driving dunk, 88 ball handle. Defensively, he's going to beat people up. In my opinion, I underrated him the most out of every other player in the game. The only downfall is he doesn't come with flexible, so you might have to pick that up. And obviously the center position will go over all the centers. You got Bam, that I think is a decent enough primary power forward position. Talk about Karl Malone here. I think another card that's underrated on current gen, 89 3 ball, 95 driving dunk, and a great defensive player. I actually was decent enough with his release in shoot around as well. So if you want to make the case, well, his release isn't great. Yes, I mean, I was decent enough with him in shoot around, and you compare him to all these other centers, and there's not much here at the center position. So at this primary power forward position, I'm going to plug in Xavier McDaniel. For me, again, one of the most underrated players in this whole entire set. If you want to play him at small forward, you definitely can, because he does have range standard. I just like X-Man there at the power forward position. At the center position, we are going to talk about the best player in this entire set. It's not even close. And Bill Russell. I mean, I could spend all videos sitting here talking and hyping up Bill Russell, but you guys know what he's about. If you haven't watched my gameplay, just go do your thing. Bill Russell, man. Chicken man, great attack of the rim. He just lacks 3 badges, and those 3 badges truly don't matter. If you're on next gen, obviously you're going to want to put steady on him, but Bill Russell, in my opinion, the best player in the game. So if I was to go out there with the starting 5, this would be my 5. Manu at the 1, Steven Jackson at the 2, James Worthy at the 3, X-Man at the 4, and Bill Russell at the 5. Obviously, if I didn't have to balance things out, would put, Jimmy Butler in here over Steven Jackson, obviously. But you'll see why Jimmy Butler's on the bench. So then it comes to the backup point guard position. And again, the primary point guards we got yesterday all the way around were not good. If I was to have to choose one primary point guard, it would honestly, guys, be Hal Greer. If it was a primary point guard, give me Hal Greer over Damian Lillard. After that, probably Marbury is probably my top 2. I'm not a Dame fan. First, we're going to talk about Larry Hughes again. 6'5", Jamal Crawford, 6'5", Tyreke Evans, 6'6". And then you look at their weight, right? Larry Hughes only at 184. Crawford 185, and you got Tyreke, and that's the player build kind of thing too. For me, is Tyreke's player build is so much better. I actually prefer Tyreke's release. I think obviously Jamal Crawford has the Treyburg space, but I like Tyreke's base a lot. I like it. It's smooth. It's easy to time, easy to green. Going to be good on the offensive end, great on the defensive end. And he's going to plug in there at the backup point guard position. Now, if you guys want to plug in Larry Hughes, Jamal Crawford, you can definitely do that. Just please don't plug in a guy like Mike Conley there. Just don't do that. If you want to plug in Dame, that's fine. I just personally don't like Damian Lillard that much right now in the game. Now, here's where things get probably the most difficult for me. Michael Cooper, probably the best release. Calbert Chaney, again, kind of a do-it-all type of shooting guard. And then we got Corey Maggette, Eddie Johnson. Now, out of all these types of players, I think Michael Cooper is the guy I'm going to green the most with. But I think because of his player build and player model, he's not going to compete the best. Then you got Corey Maggette, who's 6'6", Eddie Johnson, 6'7", with a kind of short wingspan. And then you got Calbert, who's probably, in my opinion, the most complete out of each and every one of those. And that's why I haven't even talked about Chris Morris here, 6'8". Now, here's the thing with Chris Morris. I struggled a little bit with his release. And that's the only thing. His release, it's not a bad release. I don't want to sit here and say it's bad. I think it's the Morris Peterson type release if I have my facts right. And if I have my facts right, Calbert Chaney was chicken man in shoot around. There's no questions asked. Calbert really greened everything in shoot around. So that's why I'm plugging him in right there at the shooting guard position. I want to play Michael Cooper, and I'll get to him later on. And then at the small forward position, there's no questions asked. Jimmy Butler, probably the 3rd overall best card that we got yesterday outside of James Worthy and Bill Russell. Plugging in there at the backup 3. Now, here's the thing at the power forward position. I kind of wanted to play Glenn Robinson. Now, here's what you got to decide. Is Glenn Robinson better for you than a guy like Calbert Chaney? If he is, then you can plug Glenn in. I just think Glenn, obviously, he does have that good release. I think it's base 29. But it's just in the time we're in, I don't think that release really is built like that anymore. Aaron Gordon has his release on quick. Again, Aaron Gordon's a solid option. But you guys might be surprised at the guy I plug in here. On current gen, at least, you could plug Bam Adebayo, who I think is very, very solid. But I right now am higher on Karl Malone on current gen specifically than Bam Adebayo. Now, you guys can say you disagree, and that's totally understandable. But you can go in here and compare these cards. They're so similar. 6'9", 250 compared to 255. Obviously, 3-ball, there's +3 for Bam. Ball handle is basically the same defensively. I mean, stat-wise, Karl Malone's better. So really what it comes down to is badges. Obviously, Bam's a more complete, well-rounded player, but Karl Malone is, in my opinion, has the better release. And for me, that's enough to kind of put Karl Malone over the edge. Again, Bam's not bad at all, and you guys are going to see Bam's not going to make the squad. But right now, I'm a little bit higher on Karl Malone in specific. Now, here's the thing. That's at the power forward position. At the center position, these are our options. Dave Cowens, Bill Laimbeer. Do whatever you do, as long as you do not plug Bill Laimbeer into your squad at the center position, you go a lot of different ways. Cowens is just fine. I'm just not a massive fan of that release. Amari, you could plug him in. Greg Oden, again, his player, but build is kind of crazy. I'm just not a big fan of that release. Then you got Jermaine O'Neal, David West on next gen does have the base 38, and I think he's got Hall of Fame blinders if I remember right. Or Bam Adebayo. Now, for me, one of the most overlooked players is Jermaine O'Neal. I get it. He's only got an 83 3-ball, 95 driving dunk, but he's got an updated release, incredible defensive player build, defensive player badges, defensive, just everything. Hall of Fame Showtime, handles for days, quick first step, can handle the ball. Now, you guys can see he does have a ton of playmaking badges. The only problem about Jermaine O'Neal, the only problem is that he doesn't come with range extender. That's the only problem I can see with this specific card. Obviously, you're probably going to want to give him worms, some stuff like that. But that's the only problem I see with this card. If he had range extender, I would be even higher on him. I'm higher than most of the community on him and Karl Malone both. In just my brief shoot around with every single one of these cards. That is why they are my backup 4 and 5. So at these 11, 12, and 13 spots, we're just going to talk about some guys that I think are the best remaining players. At the center position, there's no doubt. I think there's a big drop-off from Bam compared to the rest of these players on current gen. It's like Bam compared to Bill Laimbeer, Amari. I think Bam's quite a bit better than everybody else at the center and power forward position. So that's why I am going to plug Bam in right there at the 11th spot. Again, a lot of people might have Bam even in their top 5 players. But for me, right now, I'm a little bit higher on Karl Malone for whatever reason. Now, I could plug in a primary point guard, and I kind of want to plug in Dame just for the culture, but that's not what I'm going to do. Shooting guard position, I got to plug in the chicken man himself in Michael Cooper. Now, if I was to go with a different option, I'd probably go with Chris Morris on current gen. I'm just not a massive fan of what his release was like compared to Michael Cooper, who I greened every single shot with in shoot around. He was literally chicken man. And then last but not least, I mean, it's really Larry Hughes or Jamal Crawford because we need we got the shooting guard, small forward, center, power forward position covered. So we need a point guard. We need all ends covered. It really comes down to Hal Greer, Larry Hughes, or Jamal Crawford. For me, I'm going to go with Larry Hughes. Now, you guys might be wondering why. I don't mind his release. And more than anything, his perimeter defense is absolutely elite. So we're going to plug him in there at the 13th spot. This is my lineup that I would go out there with if I had to use an all spotlight sim type of lineup. If you want to plug Jimmy in here and just move Steven Jackson to the backup 3, I mean, you might as well do that. That probably makes the squad look a little bit better. At least the starting lineup looks a lot better with that. But I think this squad, you can go out there. If all these players are badged up, you can go out there and compete with any squad in the game. Prove me wrong. I promise you I could go out there and compete with nearly every single squad in the game if I had these guys. Now, again, it's not easy to get Bill Russell. Obviously, the last like 11 challenges are super hard. But this squad could absolutely go out there and compete in any type of setting. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know down below in the comments who did not make this squad that you would have on this squad. And do you guys think Karl Malone's deserving to be on this squad? What about Jermaine O'Neal, or do you prefer other power forward centers in this squad? Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys and have a blessed day.